Thank you for tuning in and welcome to Errant Painting. So, Tempo recently told me she bought some Plague Monks, so yeah, I thought it was about time we got another Skaven tutorial added to the playlist, and of course it's going to be Plague Monks. And if you've been following along the past two tutorials, I'm going to be using the same color palette, with one exception. I'm adding Plague Bearer Flesh, and that is of course for the green robes. But yeah, pretty straightforward. We're gonna start with an undercoat of Wraithbone spray, and then we're gonna take some Guilliman flesh, and this is for the visible fleshy bits. Next up, some Gorgrunter fur, and that is, yeah, for the few pieces of fur visible. There is not a lot on these guys. Now, some Volupus pink, and this is for any boils that appear on the Plague Monk, and also for the tail. You could as always go with the Guilliman flesh for the tails if you want them to look more like the box art. But I like the more cartoonish look to them, and yeah, I think the pink tails give some nice and sometimes needed contrast. Next up, some skeletal horde, and this is for his teeth, but also for any bandages, bone spikes, skulls, or pieces of parchment that might appear on the Plague Monks. Now, some snakebite leather, and this is for the robe around his waist, and also anything that might be leather, such as this bracelet and his belt pouch and stuff like that. Next up, some wildwood, and this is for the claws on the feet. I don't bother painting the claws on their hands because they're so tiny. But also for any wooden handles their weapons might have. Next up, it's finally time to take some Plague Bearer flesh and paint in the robes. Now, some Black Templar. And this is for everything I want to be metallic in a moment. So, in this case, it's the blades and the belt buckle. And the studs on his bracelet. Only some of the Plague Monks have their eyes visible, but this one does. So I'm gonna take some Blood Angels red, and yeah, dot the eyes in. And that's it for contrast paints. Next up, it's time to texture the base, and for that, I'm using some Vallejo Dark Earth texture. You could use Steel and Mud instead. It's pretty much the same, but the Dark Earth is much cheaper. And I'm applying it with my oldest, most beat up brush. Next up, some gunmetal from Vallejo, but you could use lead belcher from Citadel instead if you want to stay with Citadel colors. And this is for all the areas we painted with Black Templar earlier. Now, some Nurgle oil, and this is for the metallic areas as well as the texture on the base. Now that the wash has finally dried, I'm gonna take some natural stone and dry brush the texture on the base. Now some model color black, and this is for the base rim. So the next stage would be to hit them with some matte varnish from Vallejo and add some tuft, but it's simply way too warm for me to dare using the varnish spray. So yeah, that'll have to wait for a cooler day. Anyhow, as you can see, I painted up 5 plague monks in assembly line. You could easily do 10 or even a whole box of 20. And this is a really quick and easy paint scheme. And yeah, I'm rather happy with it. So I hope someone out there finds it useful. Tempo, I hope you find this useful. And not much else to say. Till next time, take care and bye bye.